Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Major League Gaming StarCraft 2 competition here in Anaheim, California. I'm Nathanius. With me is Todd, and our next match is going to be puCK versus Scarlett. Some PvZ action. A little bit more your thing, right?
Yes, some very good PvZ action. These two faced off very recently in the Red Bull Battlegrounds, and they had some very, very good games, actually. puCK was able to win that with 2-1. But Scarlett, since I feel like she's shown a lot of strength. That on that day, it was the only match that she played, and she didn't look that convincing. Later on, she beat puCK 4-0. She beat puCK 6-1, actually, that 2 days later. And now, so far in this tournament, she's looked pretty strong as well. Even though not really getting the wins so far. She did lose to puCK. She just lost to Trap, and she's going to have to stay, I guess, positive and focused on the task at hand here. Because sometimes in a tournament like this, you lose to a player of a certain race, in this case, Protoss, and you start thinking, oh my God, I'm really starting to struggle a little bit more than I should against Protoss. And now she has another match against another Protoss, so she has to be careful with that. We can see, though, her ratio against Protoss is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, all time-wise, but when we look at the super recent times, Scarlett's really been having, I mean, I guess you could say really good, Zerg versus Terran. It's where I can't help but look at the results from yesterday's games, even though today she did lose that series to puCK, and as you mentioned, she lost that series to Trap. And when we look at the opponent, puCK has been a Protoss versus Zerg expert over the course of the last series. One of those guys that's always come in, and he's played, I'd say, Protoss versus Zerg, top-notch among any non-Korean player, really. He was in the first season of WCS America, was the only player to take a series off of Hyun, who would go on to win the whole thing. And he actually played some pretty solid PvP earlier. He was able to take a series against Trap. So he's actually doing all right in this group so far, and he's brought some pretty impressive play to the table.
His ratio 60% versus Zerg, pretty impressive, I have to say. 60% is really where he starts to be, you can say, one of the better players of the matchup. Like between 50 and 60%, he's just like, well, I guess just a good matchup. But yeah, just above 60% here, all-time stats for puCK versus Zerg. Pretty good. I mean, it's not a big sample of games, but still, right. It's against top-tier players every single time. And I've always thought of puCK as somebody who's very, very strong versus Zerg because of his style. He likes to macro and be decently aggressive at the same time. Not too aggressive, just a little bit. Here and there, some attack, never committing too much, bringing his Mothership Core at times with his army ready to recall. He has good force fields, and I know that's an overused term, but he does have good force fields.
puCK loves his stalkers. I think back to some of the games that he played, particularly the ones that he's taken off of big plays. I think when he first went through the original qualifier for the Battlegrounds that he recently competed in, even some of those games, just lots and lots of stalkers. I talk about, like, I like Protoss players that go for +2 blink. puCK loves this style, and as you said, he's very macro-focused. Almost never see puCK go for big 2-base plays. He loves to get his fast third if it's possible. He's one of the few guys that I see that really aren't uncomfortable playing versus Zerg players that get a fast third hatchery because of how much they prefer to play the macro game.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes he stays a little bit too long on just Stalker and Sentry tech. Yeah. You know, it's good to get that +3 and all, but if you take your gases very quickly after your third base, because when you do go for +2 and Stalkers, which is the style of puCK, you almost always take a quick third. I feel like you can take 2 Colossi a little bit faster, maybe sometimes get a Dark Shrine, sometimes get a Templar Archives, and sometimes I feel like, again, this could be his weakness, he takes a little bit too long to take. Against somebody like Scarlett, though, he's going to have to be very careful, because she can read through a lot of the cracks, maybe, of somebody's style, and if she's able to find a weakness in his style, she's going to exploit that to the maximum.
Yeah, I think back to some of the games where I've seen puCK have a little bit of difficulty. And, you know, when you play large gateway styles, you don't tech up crazy high, you can run into difficulty against players that weather the early storm of aggression that you can bring when those upgrades, the +2 and the blink finish. And Swarm Host can really slow a game down against an opponent like that if you're not able to dart in and out and pick off expansions away from them. But what do you feel as far as Scarlett's playstyle? She can almost do anything in this matchup.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen her play a lot of different styles. I remember the 4 games that she played against puCK. Every game was something different. Sometimes Mutas, she won with Roach Hydra Corruptor on Frost. I mean, not every day you get to see this. But against somebody like puCK, who's very good at the +2 Blink Stalker style, and who likes to pressure at times as well a lot, you have to be careful. If you try to cut corners, if she goes, say, into roaches and then straight into Swamos, she could die to the pressure that puCK's going to apply, just because force fields reign supreme up until you can get Vipers if you do that. And so basically skipping Hydralisks might be a bad idea, but then getting them, you have a puCK who's pretty happy about you making Hydralisks, because then he slows down, he's not aggressive. Instead, it takes to Colossus, he gets Storm later on. So a lot of these decisions in terms of transitions are going to have to be made very, very quickly during this match if Scarlett wants to be able to take out her opponent here.
Yeah, I think it's important to take into consideration that puCK can tweak things in pretty interesting ways. I think the series that he played, he took out the Korean player Trap in his first series that he played in his group, which, you know, it's a pretty impressive result. Trap has he's done really well. Trap defeated Scarlett in their series earlier today. But, you know, he mixes things in that you might sometimes not expect, right? We saw Storm, actually, if any of you guys weren't able to tune into that series. Storm used in Protoss versus Protoss. He's one of the very few players that's willing to go for styles like that. So I think we're just making sure both players are ready to go into this series. But it's going to be puCK versus Scarlett. And I'm excited for this match, as a puCK fan especially. But, you know, Scarlett's also a really big fan favorite. And it's cool to see how puCK, a player that maybe is less known than Scarlett, but in a matchup he really excels in, has a chance to, I think, score an upset against. I think most people would like Scarlett more in this match.
puCK has come a long way, man.
Yeah.
I remember back in Wings of Liberty, he used to 4-gate and have a Nexus with 100 energy and it was failing horribly. No, he's really improved a lot and became one of the top tier players, possibly the best American player right now. Arguably.
Yeah, I'd put him up there. He's been consistently improving is one of the best ways to describe him. So we'll have to see how they do on in this series. As well, he can't hear anything, so hopefully everything's all right. But
our map being Ultrazim here, this makes the matchup very interesting because you don't get to see that map very often in Protoss versus Zerg, I feel. So it's unexplored as far as what strategies, what transitions we might see all that much. But the little we know about it, it's just a tricky map in general. Zerg can set up on 3 bases very easily, 4 bases as well. A 5th is going to be harder to take, but the same can be said about the Protoss.
Yeah, it's one of those cool maps, especially when you look at the way that both these players like to play. The size and the setup of it kind of limits strategy a little bit, right? It's a map where swarm host type styles are a little bit less common, which can play to puCK's style, especially when you consider that he would love to get this game to a 3-base versus 3-base scenario. Are there any particular styles that you don't like, Todd?
Out of Protoss?
Like if you're on a map like this, when you want to play 3 bases Protoss.
Oh, Mutas.
Ah.
Mutas on this map are a nightmare. Defending, blinking between the 3rd base and the natural is very, very difficult. And if you choose to play passive against a Zerg on this map, he's just going to steamroll you. He's going to take a 5th base very quickly, and then from there, a Zerg on 10 gases shouldn't lose. It should be the new meme, the new thing that everybody agrees on. A Zerg on 10 gases is extremely, extremely hard to deal with. Unless you're consistently being aggressive, trading units, doing damage. You leave a Zerg on 10 gases for 2 minutes without attacking. Against a great player, you're never going to win, I feel.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of money on this map. Of course, let's try to introduce the players as well. Of course, our Protoss player in the Southeast, representing IVD Gaming, it is puCK, the American Protoss. And his opponent, of course, the Queen of Blades, the Red Zerg in the Southwest, playing for Team Acer, the Canadian Scarlett.
Scarlett already did something interesting with taking that outside base as a natural. And I guess she wants to make sure that, I'm guessing this is obviously for double hatch before pull. She wants to make sure that she's going to have a queen out there as early as possible, so that if puCK is aggressive, she can defend easier. And also the creep spread. You don't really want a creep spread from the natural, that indoors natural. Scarlett is most known for creep spread being the best, some of the best that you can find out of all the Zerg players. puCK is going to get fortunate and scout in the right direction shortly after throwing down his 2nd pylon at his ramp, which this is a very good build here by puCK, I feel. To be greedy on this map, he did Nexus 17. This is basically the greediest you can ever be. with a gateway behind.
Yeah, so this probe's going to come in to find Scarlett's base, and you know, puCK is not that kind of player that goes for cannon rush based strategies. And on a map like this, puCK will scout that it's double hatch before he sees the spawning pool timing, but he's not, you know, he's not that MC. He's not that Huck that's going to add a late forge and try to bring
a single
pressure.
gas by puCK. You're almost always going to get double gas very early on in this situation, and he's made a single gas. I'm starting to wonder, what is this for? His score is not all that fast that he could be super aggressive with this, but if he wanted to, he could save some chrono boost for his warp gate, add on a lot of extra gateways, and then be aggressive, or take a quick third. Taking a quick third is an option.
I feel like a quick third is more of a puCK move, but he still has his probe on the map, so he has the option to get aggressive.
It's good to take a quick third, but it's not like versus Terran, where you start a third Nexus just after you made the second one. Against Zerg, you need to have your natural saturated minimum with a bunch of probes. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. So in this case, I think he's just making probes now, and he's going to decide in a little bit. You see chrono boosting out at the warp gates. What is it going to be, puCK?
His mothership core is on the
kind of
way.
7 gates.
With that Zealot in position, puCK wants to deny scouting. He did see those Zerglings coming with his
can
on the
they go
high
in?
ground. They're going to try to slip through. puCK actually already getting ready to put a pylon behind this just in case. Oh, he's like, okay, we're good.
No need.
Everything's locked down, guys. It's okay.
He takes another gas that is natural. This is interesting. puCK is not mining too much gas right now. He's hitting a probe on the map. By the way, that ninja probe in the middle of the map. Saw the links go by. Could proxy a pylon in a little bit.
This is a lot of resources
Yeah.
for puCK to bank. It's got to be, I guess it's got to be a bunch of gateways.
Yes, and they are done at the natural. The big gateway explosion is going to happen. 4 extra ones. Wouldn't be surprised if there are even more there. Those are going to be in his main. 2 more at least.
This doesn't really strike me as a puCK build.
This is a hug build.
Amen. Well, that might just be what it takes to take a first map off of Scarlett in this situation. She is now starting her Roach Warren. She's getting additional gas, but with 7 gateways being added, yeah, he is going for the 8 gate with that probe still alive in the center of the center map. How do you like his chances with this build?
Scarlett is known to be pretty greedy. She likes to make a lot of drones, so it can be good to play like this against her. But now she's just too smart to fall for this. I mean, she scouts a minimum. She knows what's up. She finds the pylon now and she gets a cancel. puCK is in a situation where he's going to be getting a lot of money. If he warps in back at home, he's going to take too long to cross the map and be aggressive with it. So he's like, you know what? I'm just going to start a third Nexus instead of making units. I'm going to have those gateways available for defense if I were to be attacked. And behind this, Scarlett is, I wonder if I could call that an overreaction. But she's getting a lot of links. Double spine crawler. Does she cancel the spine crawlers upon realizing this is a third base? I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, she did.
Makes sense, right? puCK's going to get his Twilight Council, but the lair is still on the way for Scarlett, so eventually she can get Roach speed, move towards Hydralisk. With the number of Zerglings that she has on the map with Zergling speed, maybe there's a potential for something else to come up, like Hydralisk
Speed's not done yet. That's why she cannot really go into a fight here with all the sentries. Oh my god, good force fields.
Yeah,
I'm going to try those Zerglings
Those
here.
Zealots get on top of everything, not going to lose any sentries, so 3 force fields picks off a nice chunk of Zerglings for puCK.
You know, puCK, because of all that's happened, he skipped the forge. So he has no +1 on the way. He's made the Twilight Council earlier than he had his +1. I think he didn't realize for a while. I mean, even at his third base, you see, he made the pylons so that he could make a cannon mill. Oh my god, she's going to sneak through. puCK was not ready.
Into both bases of puCK. We're bringing Zealots in his natural. Needs to get a few in the main base as well, but it's denying mining time. These probes in a little bit of trouble. puCK won't take too much damage since he's warped into Zealots quickly enough. Does want to close off that natural, but look, let's just look at this. A lot of the probes not able to mine. It's just slowing him down bit by bit.
I mean, Scarlett behind this is making so many drones. She's about to go over 80. She's killed a bunch of probes, just 3 in total. But she's forced pro production to stop here for some time. And that means she's going to be on 82 drones against 55 probes. So already, puCK fell so far behind because of all that happened in terms of economy. Scarlett, though, I feel like she could rush maybe a 5th base a little bit faster. You see she's taking a 4th. But she didn't make those extractors over there as soon as possible. So that's going to be a little bit delayed. And I have to wonder, what does she go into from there? She's getting roaches. She's getting upgrades for those roaches burrow as well. She could go for a spire behind this and just get the roaches to make sure she's safe, possibly to pressure with as well. Even though I guess she knows that puCK has a lot of sentries. But hold on, he's the one moving out right now. He feels like he has to make something happen.
Yeah, these are a lot of forces. I mean, he does have the Mothership Core, so worst comes to worst, he can always dial home if he needs to. But I feel like in a position like this, puCK can't do the +2 blink play that he would normally want to, so it gets kind of awkward. But
he's going to get the +1 blink play.
Yeah, the +1 blink. Not quite as strong, I've heard.
I agree. Robo Bay being made fairly quickly behind this as well. I wonder what's next for Scarlett here. I mean, you never want to stay on full roaches in this situation, even though right now that's what she has to do to make sure she holds this attack comfortably. She's going to go for the surround. If puCK takes one more step forward, she's going to go for it.
Well, the observers see some of the roaches. puCK is stepping away, stepping off of that creep that Scarlett has spread reasonably well outside of that natural expansion area, but Burrow is done.
Oh, wow. She's staying on roaches and getting Burrow movement. I guess she's doing the good old Stefano max out at 12 minutes. We're at 12 minutes mark, she's maxed out. So she's going to keep on attacking with roaches, trade these for sentries most likely, and then keep on reinforcing with more and more roaches. We don't have a single immortal in this army. I mean, there is the Colossus about to come out. We have range on the way, but is this going to be enough? The army supply right now, 72 to 114. Scarlett goes for it.
puCK can't fight all of this together. The roaches have a great arc. Take out the cannon on the right side. The reinforcements are being held back for now, but that Colossus still just about to come in here. There's still so many roaches that puCK has to fight through those. Roaches coming in the right side. The Colossus almost caught Overseer, giving vision. Scarlett focusing down the Colossus, but even these Stalkers by themselves cannot hold off this endless stream of roaches. Scarlett overrunning puCK space, up almost 100 supply now. That third Nexus not going to hold on much longer, and Scarlett, she's just chewing through all of this. A couple of Zealots have been warped in, but there's really not too much left here to fight. 17 roaches on the production tab, Todd. Scarlett is not being stopped. Not here, not now.
I mean, 2-2's on the way for Scarlett. Behind it, she can do anything that she wants. puCK starts a hidden expansion. I don't think so. The Sharks are here, and they're hungry. They're going to be heading for the main. puCK's just not ready. Does he even have detection?
Force fields wouldn't stop those.
Oh, the observers are on the map. He cannot. Does he see this?
Were they blocked somehow?
I don't know. They're out on the map doing nothing.
Well, another Colossus does come out, but the pylon's eliminated, so cannot produce anything else out of that robotics facility. And these roaches just run straight forward. The Zealots trying to hold this off, but the force fields, they're not going to have too much of an impact because the roaches can move onto them while burrowed. And puCK, GG's out. Scarlett will take game number 1 in this best of 3.
Very, very good play here. Really, I was surprised that puCK gave up so easily with the aggression. You know, when you go for this kind of gateway attack, when you make this many gateways, when you skip tech basically and pro production, you have to make something happen. You cannot just abort. You know, it's be aggressive and do damage or die trying. Yeah. And in this case, he didn't even try, so he just kind of fell apart right from the start after this. And you know what? It's funny because Scarlett found the pylon with just like 1 or 2 links. It's like, you're not going to get a cancel or a kill with that. He almost had warp gate. He was chrono boosting it out. Actively, he could have sent another probe out on the map, made more pylons somewhere else. I'm a little bit surprised this game went the way it did.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. puCK really didn't give the aggression much of a chance. And when you do that, something else that you pointed out that was very important was, you know, the way that puCK likes to play, +2, blink. puCK didn't have a forge that early on. He couldn't get a photon cannon at his third base. You mentioned the way that his pylons were positioned. And without being able to hit that upgrade timing, Scarlett going for an attack that hits generally around, if you try to rush for that +2 and blink, that roach attack hit right before that would have happened normally anyway. So it was a really smart build for Scarlett to break out, mostly because puCK's not the kind of player that mixes in a lot of immortals either.
I mean, Scarlett, she only did this because she knew she could kill puCK now. If he had gone for, say, like a +2 and blink standard defensive build, she would have just played greedy, and this attack, if she had somehow decided to make it with like a lot of roaches, it would have never worked. There would have been enough sentries to force field, guard and shield. He would have had a ton of stalkers with both blink and +2. And in this case, it was just a beautiful decision to choose to go for this. So few players can actually recognize when you can go for the aggression like this and pick a precise timing. In this case, she was like, I'm just going to max out and then let's just go for it. He's not going to have enough. And
is it just because, you know, that type of setup looks like it's all gateways? Because I don't even think Scarlett was able to get an Overlord in that much early. Like, what did she think that puCK was maybe faking aggression and that he would be weak because he was greedy? Is that a possibility?
Maybe a little bit, but either way, she saw the very quick third. And when you see a quick third, like she saw, I think you're able to realize that it's going to be hard to have a lot of tech. And she saw the unit count as well. Like, she was always active with her units.
Yeah.
I mean, puCK moved out, then came back home. It was not your typical Protoss versus Zerg on this map.
All right, well, pretty crazy game in that case. I kind of like to see puCK mix it up because, I mean, to be honest, he really does like to do those builds where you totally get the third base. And as much as Altazim Stronghold is a map where getting the third base doesn't seem that difficult because of how large the map is, it's still very wide open. And I think Scarlett's Roach play also helps that because it's just easier to get that arc. It requires so many force fields to cut off both the entranceways that I think it gives just the army such a good positioning.
You know, it's funny, like, Scarlett is known to be kind of greedy, and she was talking, I think it was a Battlegrounds with puCK, she's like, you should just 8-gate me. Kind of like asking him to do it, because she was saying, I would lose every time, and we've known Scarlett to be good with mind games. There was a lot of stuff happened there, which also convinced us of that. Yeah. So I have to wonder. She did the same with Terran. She said, hey, Terran is fine, just Hellbats. Hellbats are really, really good. And then she faces Hellbats and does very well against them. So maybe she's baiting people into
Scarlett
trying stuff against her.
Breaking out the mind games. Well, we'll be right back, guys, with the next game after just a very short commercial break. You're watching MLG Anaheim. Stay tuned.
Things surrounding